Damn, that's a lot of porno rentals. I don't know if you saw. We, in spite of that joke, have a great show for you tonight. Thank you for coming down, everybody. Mr. David Cassidy is with us. We'll do a quick break. We'll be right back. My guest tonight came to fame as Keith Partridge in the Partridge Family back in the 70s. His most recent album is called Didn't You Used to Be, and he just ended a successful run on Broadway in the play Blood Brothers. He has a new book out, Come On, Get Happy, Fear and Loathing on the Partridge Family Bus. We'll be discussing just moments from now, and I hold him personally responsible for that shag haircut I got when I was 11. So, ladies and gentlemen, David Cassidy.
In the middle of a big room, once I wake up in something that keeps knocking.
Yeah. What can I tell you? I mentioned the book at the top of the show. It is David Cassidy.
Is it?
Come On, Get Happy. Now, this is your first book, obviously. How did this come about? What prompted you to decide to sit down and pump one of these puppies out?
Well, I sit around and had nothing to do that day, so I thought, let's write a book, you know?
Really? I was going to say, I thought this took at least 2 or 3 days to... Now, actually, there's some very good stories. Anybody who was a fan of the Partridge Family, I know I was, genuinely will be interested in much that is revealed in here.
Much.
Case in point, I go to page 180 with some mentions of Susan Day.
Yeah, here we go.
But there are some people
Here comes the dirt.
Toward whom, as you meet them, you feel an animal attraction. You just want to have sex with them. The truth is, I guess I never felt that way with Susan. I thought she was really attractive, but sexually, I never had the hunger for her. So,
you know, it warmed up real quick in this studio, didn't it? Yeah. Do you feel that? You feel that? Yeah.
Did you date her? Yes, during the show, during the shooting of Partridge Family.
Contrary to public opinion, she and I were great friends, and I mean, I hope she's still my friend after this book.
Have you heard from her since you wrote it?
Not sure. I haven't spoken to her. I did wite her a letter, though, a little disclaimer. No, you know, when you know someone that well and you go through it, I was 19, she was 15, and we instantly just, I hate to use that word, bonded. But we
you were
did
buds.
sort of bond. Yeah, we were really good friends. And
she's like somebody you'd give noogies to. It wasn't like a intimate thing.
Noogies, too?
Noogies are wrong.
You know, I had that perfect shag. I couldn't really noogie. No, I noogied her a few times. Okay, all right, I did that.
The point is,
like
you
this,
guys
you
were
know,
buds. You were friends.
We were real good pals, and she was a very, very close confidant of mine. And without having someone like that, I would have probably blown my brains out at that time, you know. It was very important to have a relationship with somebody like that, and we were very good friends. She dated lots of different people and had a long-lasting relationship during that show with someone else who was related to the show. I feel like I'm revealing something now, 15 years later.
No, not at all. Have you talked to her since the book came out, though?
No, no, I've been on the road doing the promotion thing.
Here's another one. This is about groupies, which I'm sure you obviously dealt with in mass quantity. This says, sometimes I dive into the back of the car and find a woman waiting for me. I remember in Bangor, Maine...
No. We're talking about being out on the road. Let's just set the story straight here. Oh. See, I used to have a car that would pick me up at the end of the show. You got it. And, yeah, then I dive into the back of the car and they drive me away.
And you were being picked up in Bangor, Maine. A promoter surprised you?
Bangor, Maine.
Bangor, Maine.
Thank you.
A promoter surprised me by having 2 women in the car wearing nothing but little string bikinis. It was 30 below. We're your love slaves, and in seconds they whipped out the oil. That sort of surprise could put a smile on any young buck's face. Imagine so.
Yes. Bangor.
Did you have a huge following of groupies during this time?
It was, there were lots and lots of people who followed us around. Yeah, there were lots of, it was something that at the time, God, it was something socially acceptable. There was no such thing as being politically incorrect, and it was not the kind of behavior that was looked or frowned upon. Because, to be honest with you, it was a very loose rock and roll kind of existence. In those days, we're talking about, you know, the early 70s when the whole social etiquette was completely different. We had just come out of the, you know, the whole social and sexual revolution of the mid-'60s,
right.
and life was a lot different. The world was completely different. In many ways, the experiences that I had out on the road were probably not even close to as bizarre or as reckless or as loose as a lot of the rock and roll stars that were out there at the time. But because of my image and being perceived as a guy who was 5 or 6 years younger than I actually was, and being in crushed maroon velvet every week, it was tough, you know, let's be honest.
What was the, I would imagine there, you know, obviously you have some very fond memories of this whole experience.
I do. I have a lot of very, very good memories about it. Thank God, because I'd be here, you know, being bitter and angry and
what were some of the
hateful and
What were some of the worst experiences that you had during that era, or things that you look back on and say, wow, that was something I had a hard time dealing with?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind was working with Danny Bonaducci every day. No.
Hey, ho!
I'm kidding. Danny's actually, he's great. I think...
You know, he wrote a book,
probably,
too.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. Look at this. Look at this. This just came out. Danny Bonaducci, How to Pick Up Transvestites. You didn't hear about this? Just a couple weeks ago. No, I'm kidding.
Just kidding, Danny. Honestly, just kidding, pal.
What were you two pretty close on the show?
No, he was 11 years old. You know, I think he looked up to me as a big brother.
Yeah.
And the reason I wrote this book is so that the next time I come on later, I won't ever have to talk about the Partridge Family again. It's been great, and I loved it, and it was wonderful, but it's a little bit like I spend most of my days. The good part about it is that people come up to me every day and say, you know, thank you, you had a real positive impact on my life and when I was a kid or whatever it was. And that's great. I feel very blessed to be alive, breathing, and have a great career now. The fact that I have one, I think I probably was very close at one point to blowing my brains out because I couldn't get off the dime. People just would not allow me to move on. And until I did, I had a real problem with it. And I wasn't bitter or angry about it. I just wanted to do something else. And as great as it was, and as much as I loved it, it was a long time ago. And I'm living in the present. And people sometimes misinterpret me saying, you know, I really don't want to talk that much about it anymore.
But this is one way to let go of it all. Because you got it all down, and it's done, and it's history.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll take a quick break. Be back with David Cassidy right after these words.
All over the world. Can't you hear them singing? Can't you hear them singing? Sing a little louder. All over the world.
David Cassidy on later. Let's see, let's go back to '69, the year before you did the pilot for the Partridge Family. Yeah. You were actually in New York, struggling like everybody else to try and get some sort of gig. You went through hundreds of auditions before you got your first gig. Is that true?
It is true, yeah. Probably 250 maybe. And, you know, when you're 18 years old, you're either stupid or just, you know, I didn't know any better. And I wanted to work so much. My dad was such a credible actor and such a really talented, gifted theatrical actor and never stopped. I really, instead of going to college, I went to work in the mailroom of a textile company for $2 an hour, and I was clearing $38 a week. And I was studying and going out on auditions. And it took me about 9 months, which is not a long time.
Yeah.
But it felt like an eternity because I'd spent my high school years in Southern California, and I moved back to New York, and being around, working in the mailroom was really difficult. The youngest person I was working with, I was 18, was 51 years old. So I had nobody, I was alone. My dad was out on the road with his show.
What was the gig that you ended up getting there? That was
a show called The Fig Leaves Are Falling that George Abbott, the legendary actor, writer, producer, director, who was 84 at the time.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, he cast me in the part, and he's still alive. In fact, if you saw the Tony Awards this year, he'd accepted a Lifetime Achievement Award.
And that led to a number of television appearances, including this one. Take a look at this. This is from Bonanza, 1970.
Well, I wanted to be a big man. I guess I am. I never killed Doc Lyman, Mr. Cartwright, or anybody else.
Well, I never suspected you did. I ought to whip you within an inch of your life. And I still may.
Lauren's kind of into that tough love thing, huh?
Tough love! Actually, you know, it's such an interesting thing to see that. I haven't seen it since I did it in 1969, and boy, it's like talk about two lives just went across my. I thought, is that really me? God, was that really me? Whatever happened to that boy and his bugle? It was really.
And then that led, obviously, you've gone on and done some other, you know, a number of other things.
Not really.
Recently, Blood Brothers back in New York was something that got you a lot of attention. Was it tough to get taken seriously on Broadway as a legitimate actor for you?
Yeah, I think ever since I began my career as an actor in New York and then came out and started doing theatrical, you know, dramatic stuff in television. And they had to twist my arm, believe it or not, to do The Partridge Family. I was 19 and I had just moved out, you know, one of my best friends and I had just gotten a place. And we were really making it, you know, I took every job I could get. And fortunately, I was working, supporting myself solely as an actor at 19, which is pretty unusual. Absolutely. And I was very serious about my work and my craft and about being a legitimate working actor like my dad was. And when I got The Partridge Family, my whole world changed, and people's perception of me changed so dramatically. They looked at me like I was this joke, and it was the hardest thing in the world for me to deal with for 15 years afterwards. I think, more than anything else, the most difficult part of it was that people thought I was light and fluff, and I was just sort of, you know, I didn't care.
And this show turned it around for you.
This show had a lot to do with turning around. The last few years for me as a writer, I wrote the theme to John Larroquette's new show, which is on, I think when people started recording...
Did you really? The John Larroquette show? That little theme at the beginning? Really?
Zuzi.
Really?
Yeah, that thing.
We're looking for a new theme for this show. Maybe.
Hey, there we go. I could give you Zuzah Zuze's sister.
I like it. Zuzi Zozi.
Zuzah. Anyway, the most difficult part of the last 15 years has been people's perception of me not being a serious actor, thinking, well, he's just a musician, or he's kind of a light comedic actor, you know, pretty face, no talent. And it really was so difficult for me not being able to work. I left Los Angeles and I moved back to New York. I moved to London. I worked in the West End of London. And I worked a lot in the theater, and that sort of always helped me because people came to see me. And it's a very difficult business for actors in that respect. If you become a star and you don't sell tickets, you're out of the business.
Right.
And
we got to do one quick break here. We'll be right back with David Cassidy. Don't go away.
Hi, this is Greg Kinnear. I'm grooving with David Cassidy right now and later, so leave a message and we'll call you back. Have a nice day.
Hi, Greg. It's me, Danny Bonaducci. Could you do me a favor? As David Cassidy, if I'm crazy, or did we have one little kid playing our brother one year, and then another little kid playing our brother the next year? Call me and let me know, because I think I'm having a flashback.
We're back. Tune in tomorrow night. Very funny comedian Larry Miller will be on this show. By the way, one last book I forgot to mention here. What Are We? Chopped Liver by Suzanne Crowe and Brian. Whatever happened to those kids? You never hear about them, right? I don't know. This is the later letter written to you by the Hive. Written to you by the previous night's guest. James Brown was on Thursday night. He writes, Dear David, did you ever want to sing soul? And this is, of course, from the godfather of soul, Mr. James Brown.
what is this? What is this I'm singing? Did I ever want to sing soul? Obviously, James, you haven't heard the latest recordings by David Cassidy. Ouch! You know, James and I had the opportunity to work together just recently after my brother left the show. We did Blood Brothers together, you know. Yeah. Yeah, we've been doing Blood Brothers. Yeah, me and James, you know. That's right, we did a little different this time.
So you've done some soul with him?
I've done some soul with him. No, I've never actually.
Not with him.
Not with him.
Yeah.
No, soul. What is soul? I mean, I don't know. You mean, have I done R&B music? Have I done what? What?
You know what? I don't know. I'll take this home. I'll study it. I'll give you a call later this week. Thanks for coming. David Cassidy, folks. That's going to do it. We'll see you back here.